5 top-rated tourist attractions in New Hampshire. From its 18 miles of seacoast, the shortest of any coastal state in the U.S., to the summit of the Northeast's highest peak, New Hampshire packs plenty of variety into an easy-to-reach area. Along with the many places to visit, New Hampshire's natural attractions offer plenty of things to do in the great outdoors, many of them free. The attractions that draw tourists to this part of New England include beautiful ocean and lake beaches, miles of kayaking waters, above-timberline hiking on the Appalachian Trail, sailing on mountain-ringed lakes, fun-filled theme and water parks for kids, exciting rides to mountaintops, and tours of historic houses. Whether it's challenging hikes, sailing, foliage viewing in the fall, tax-free shopping, skiing in the winter, covered bridges, or colonial history, you'll find it, and plenty more, in New Hampshire. To be sure of seeing the highlights of this small but varied state. Number 5. Strawberry Bank. Strawberry Bank was the name of the first 1623 settlement at what is now Portsmouth. The 10-acre Strawberry Bank Museum contains houses from 4 centuries of the old port neighborhood. Some are restored and furnished to show life in the various eras, while others are preserved to show construction methods and restoration techniques, of particular interest to those who are restoring old homes. Costumed interpreters demonstrate cooking, crafts, and skills from the various periods, and you can watch authentic boats under construction. The homes vary from that of a prosperous merchant and political leader to a 1950s duplex, and represent various ethnicities that called the neighborhood home. Period gardens, a 1770 tavern, a fully stocked World War II-era neighborhood market, and frequent special musical and historical programs make this an interesting place to visit. In December, the houses and workshops are open for candlelight evening tours. Address: 454 Court Street, Portsmouth, New Hampshire. Number 4. Kankamagus Highway and White Mountain National Forest. This is really not a highway, but the winding 2-lane NH Route 112, which climbs over the spine of the White Mountains via New Hampshire's Kankamagus Pass. In addition to sweeping views, this scenic route, stretching 35 miles from Conway in the east to Lincoln in the west, offers access to several natural and man-made attractions. The entire area is part of the vast White Mountain National Forest, which protects 148,000 acres of wilderness. Be sure to take advantage of the scenic pullouts, as some of the best views are not visible from the road. This is especially true on the western side of the summit. At the Conway end are a covered bridge and 2 especially scenic spots on the Swift River, Rocky Gorge and Lower Falls, both popular for swimming and picnics. A half-mile trail leads to Sabaday Falls, where a mountain stream flows through a gorge with 40-foot walls. Wooden railings make it safe to look straight down at the waterfall and potholes. The Kankamagus Highway ends in Lincoln, where Loon Mountain is not just a winter ski resort, but a year-round sports center. The gondola that carries skiers in the winter takes summer and fall visitors to the summit for views, a nature trail, and a tumble of glacial boulders that form caves and passageways. Open all year, this drive is especially beautiful during the fall foliage season. Number 3. Mount Washington Auto Road. Completed in 1861, the Mount Washington Auto Road is America's oldest continuously operating tourist attraction. Ascending more than 4,500 feet from the base to the summit, the 7.6-mile road is not for the faint of heart. Climbing at an average gradient of 12%, the narrow road begins benignly through woodlands, with occasional valley views. The forest begins to shrink as the elevation increases and the road enters the zone where trees are stunted and bent by the high winds. Then trees disappear entirely as the road climbs past the timberline into a precipitous rock-strewn landscape. The views across the White Mountains just keep getting better as you climb. It takes about 30 minutes from its base on the eastern side of Mount Washington. The return trip may take a little longer if you need to stop and cool the brakes. You won't get to display the bumper sticker proclaiming that this car climbed Mount Washington, but you can experience the auto road riding in a purpose-built van with someone else driving. In the winter, you can ride to the tree line on the track-wheeled snow coach. These and the vans are still called coaches in homage to the horse-drawn coaches that made the trip to the summit between 1861 and the beginning of motorized trips in 1912. Address: Route 16, Pinkham Notch, New Hampshire. Number 2. The Flume Gorge and Franconia Notch. The Flume Gorge, in Franconia Notch State Park, is an 800-foot long crack in the rock at the base of Mount Liberty. Its walls rise 70 to 80 feet above the brook that flows through it, and you can follow it on a boardwalk just feet above the water. When the mile-high sheet of ice that formed the notch melted, torrents of water raged down this valley, carving a 20-foot smooth-bottomed depression into the solid granite of the mountain. Follow signs to the basin, where the now benign Pemigewasset River still continues the process begun 10,000 years ago. The first aerial tramway in North America, the Cannon Mountain Aerial Tramway, carried its first passengers to the 4,080-foot summit high above Franconia Notch in 1938. On clear days, you can see New Hampshire's Presidential Range and mountains in Vermont, New York, and even Canada. The short rim trail to the observation tower offers spectacular views straight down into the floor of the notch. A notch is a pass that was carved through a mountain range by retreating glaciers, and Franconia is one of the biggest notches in New Hampshire's White Mountains. Franconia Notch has miles of hiking trails, a campground, an Echo Lake State Park, with a beautiful sandy beach and boat rentals. Address: I-93 Exit 34B, Franconia Notch. Number 1. Mount Washington Cog Railway. On a clear day, the view from the summit of Mount Washington spans 4 states. On a cloudy day, you may be able to look down on the tops of clouds while the summit is in sunlight. The easiest way to reach the top of Mount Washington, the highest elevation in the northern Appalachians at more than 6,000 feet, is on the steep Cog Railway that has been carrying tourists since it opened, the first of its kind in the world, in 1869. Those who long for the nostalgia of an authentic coal-fired steam engine train can reserve the steamer's special morning departures from late May through late October. At the top, the Sherman Adams Visitors Center houses a small museum, a cafeteria, and the Mount Washington Observatory, a research station that studies extreme weather conditions, for which the mountain is notorious. In 1934, the world record wind speed was recorded here. The Cog Railway only ascends to the summit between May and October, but in the winter, you can ride as far as the Wambeck Station, an alpine meadow at 4,000 feet elevation. There you can enjoy the sweeping views, and sip hot chocolate in the warming huts or around a fire pit. Address: 3168 Base Station Road, Marshfield Station, New Hampshire. Subscribe to our channel for more similar videos.